of Russia. 2 out of 2 so far. This time only a 2.5 kilo increase, but this would be a new personal best by 5 kilos if he can do it. It's 137.5 kilos. And it would put him into the bronze medal position because he's one of the heavier men. Didn't like that.
No, I think the 135 was a personal best, and the 137 was just that little bit too much.
One big absentee tonight is Leonidas Sabonis. You probably wondered where Sabonis has been. Well, sadly, the world champion from Lahti 1998, and a man who obviously played a great part in the Olympics, taking the silver medal. Well, sadly for all the Greek fans, just 3 days ago, he ruptured a ligament, and that ruled him out, and just to the frustration of everyone because he was apparently in very good form. 1 or 2 other Greeks not in such good form. Dimas is okay, he's had another shoulder operation, so he's on the road to recovery. And Kakashvilis, well, the years are getting to him, so what he's doing is on a very, very slow, steady build-up to Athens 2004. That's what matters to him. So here's Georgiev, 3rd attempt. And he can't do it.
No, well, he was very, very pleased with that 135, and it almost makes you think that, you know, 135 was really what he was going for. He got it on his 2nd attempt, and the 3rd attempt was just sort of an outside chance of just going 2.5 kilos further. So,
well, at the moment, David, there's only 2.5 kilos separating the first 7 men in this competition, so it is as close as we thought it might be. So really good stuff here. It may not be an evening for world records, but no matter about that, what we want to do is to see a good fight.
See a good competition, yeah, exactly.
So Li Yinlong, 3rd attempt, 140. Now that's 12.5 kilos, if I'm right. Yes, it is, 12.5 kilos below the world record. And in fact, it's Pashalov's name who's up on the board to come in, but it's not Pashalov who's coming.
Olachek seems to be... Olachuk seems to be coming out. Another bar's going to 142.5. So on the body weights, who is the heaviest out of Pashalov and...
Well, Pashalov weighed in tonight at 61.54, whereas Olachuk 61.78.
So Pashalov has the advantage in terms of body weight.
Yeah, Pashalov's been particularly good at getting the body weight right in the last couple of years.
But a success at this 42 would really put the pressure on Pashalov, because obviously Olachuk still has a lift left.
Indeed. Olachuk, who actually got the bronze medal by virtue of the disqualification of Minchev of Bulgaria in Sydney, was moved up from 4th to 3rd.
Got loads of strength. He just needs to put this in the right place. Oh. Well, on his first attempt, he nearly lost the weight behind and managed to step back. He obviously tried to correct it there and overcorrected and lost it in the front. So
looks strong enough, though.
Looks very strong. Yeah, as well. Good pull on that.
Number 2, Li Yinlong from China, 142.5 kg.
So the situation is, at the moment, we have got Pashalov with 1 left lift, Li Yinlong, who's on stage now. This is his last attempt, and Olachuk's got 1 more at the moment. So those are the 3 men.
The winning lift.
Could be.
Well, that would be a real turn up for the books.
Well, it would be, because he's 24, he's unknown. My goodness, the technique was spot on there.
And the pressure is now on Olachuk and Pashalov. This man is leading.
The other thing about Li Yinlong is that at 61 kilos 70, he's that fraction lighter than Olachuk, which might also be useful. So a lot of pressure on Pashalov now.
Yeah, so really Pashalov has to get this to go into the gold medal position, and then Olachuk, if he wants the gold, will have to go to 145. In fact, he'll have to go to 145 anyway, because he's heavier than the Chinaman.
I think this is a real pressure lift here for Pashalov, and when you consider Pashalov lifted 140 in the Europeans, but he wasn't really pushed. But now he is being. So. It's very interesting, David, because he, in recent times, has been able to dictate what's been happening to him in the Sydney Olympics and in the European Championships before that, European Championships this year. He's been in a position of being able to dictate what was happening. He finds himself now being dictated to. So Olachuk now to try and lift this 142.5 kilos. But as you rightly said, David, even if he does, he is not going to win the gold medal in the snatch. That is going to go to Li Yinlong.
Yeah, whatever happens now.
Apologies for David's cough. But here we go. 35 seconds. Can he do it? So this is for the silver medal in the snatch, and he can't. And so it's Li Yinlong, a man we've not seen over here in world competition before, who takes the snatch gold medal and notches up yet another Chinese success. 61 kilos, 70 his body weight, 132.5, 137.5, 142.5 for Li Yinlong of China, who also takes a 5 kilo advantage into the second half of the competition. And how good is that, David?
Well, I haven't actually had a look at the starters on the clean and jerk, but
there were the facts and figures, and spare a thought there for Mukahit. He's actually in 4th place, having made 3 very, very good snatches, but you can see there missing out on the bronze medal by 2.5 kilos. If he'd got 137.5 or gone that far, then his body weight would have earned him a bronze medal. So that's the situation at the halfway stage, and now the test here for Pashalov is, can he come back and regain the initiative in the second half? Well, they break now for 10 minutes while they put together their preparation for the clean and jerk. We're going to take a break. When we come back, highlights of this afternoon's medalists in the women's 53 kilo category. Goes for the clean and jerk. Well, he's had to do it in a bit of a noisy hall. They haven't really settled down since they've come back, but he's got 152.5, and that gives him a total of 295. Now, just taking a look at that, he was looking for 295, David, as his announced total. So he's achieved that. So in a way,
so anything from now on is a bonus. Really.
Yes, profit.
So who do you think's going to win, Dave?
Well, Gennady Olachuk has got to be a contender. Pashalov, though, is he going to, in a sense, escape? Because he did not perform particularly well in the snatch. And at the halfway stage, of course, he is 5 kilos behind Li Yinlong, but he's on the same weight as Olachuk.
Yes, I think my money, if I was a betting man, would be on this particular day on Olachuk. On this particular day, because Pashalov obviously isn't in the kind of form that he was at the Olympic Games, where he snatched 150. So if he's not in that kind of form on the snatch, it would suggest that He's also not in great form on the clean and jerk.
Here's Suleimanov. First attempt. Only 125 kilos accumulated from the snatch. That's pretty poor.
Pretty poor for him. Yes, I remember you saying he did achieve the silver medal, did he not, in the clean and jerk?
Yes, he actually matched Pashalov in the European Championships, and by virtue of lighter body weight, ended up with a gold medal in trenching.
Right. So, and what weight was that? I can't remember.
160, I think it was. Oh no, let me just check there. Yes, it was. It was 160 kilos.
160 kilos. So, Chen Liu.
Well, Pashalov, well, he clean and jerked 175 in Sydney, but he really didn't have to do any more. I mean, he went for 185 for a second attempt and didn't get that and didn't bother with the third. He'd done the job, yeah. It's not going to be like that tonight. Now, this is the second of the two Chinamen.
Needs to settle. Very strong in the second phase.
And it could well be a role reversal here, that Li Yinlong will be the better of the two Chinamen in the snatch phase, and this man, Chen, will be the stronger in the clean and jerk. Well, Chen was 7.5 kilos behind Li Yinlong, his teammate. He's now reduced that deficit to 5, but he is the heavier of the two Chinamen. So Li Yinlong, how much further can he go? Suleimanov of Azerbaijan leads in the clean and jerk. Lighter body weight, just fractionally lighter than Chen Liu, but very early days. But so far, 3 clean and jerk attempts, 3 good lifts. Can this man make it 4 out of 4 for us?
So, 300 kilos. 157.5 along with his 142.5 snatch. So he's exceeded his expectations and still has 1 attempt remaining.
So this is Turkey's man for the evening, Mukahit Yachi. And the house is a little more packed now. 1 or 2 who obviously finished work a bit late have found their way to the hall, which is good. Nice to have a good atmosphere. And they've been a pretty good crowd. They've been sporting, but they've also been, of course, passionate for their own lifters. So 160 kilos for Mukahit Yashi from Ankara. That's 4 good lifts out of 4 so far. The sequence continues. It would be absolutely cruel if he makes all 6 and gets nothing. So Alexander Lichwald for the Ukraine. This is his first attempt at 160.
Yes, interesting. He was He was posted at 170, so suggests that perhaps he didn't have such a good warm-up.
Well, he's a long way behind, 12.5 kilos behind Li Yunlong at the halfway stage. So he's got an awful lot of catching up to do. I'm still not convinced by that.
Very, very strong in the first phase, but needs to work on the jerk section.
So here comes Ladislav Vukanin of Russia, 135 kilos, 6th at the halfway stage. But having said that, that's only 2.5 kilos behind Pashalov, who after all took the silver, and also Olechuk, who took the bronze, being the heavier of those two. So
amazing the build-up before the pull. Watch this build-up before the pull. See if it's the same as on the snatch. Really winds himself up. Interesting. Notice what he did there. Cleaned the weight and then chucked the hands out wider to drive the weight over the head. And of course the theory is that if you take the hands wider, you don't have to chuck the bar so high.
There you go.
There you go. Yep.
Ah. Nonetheless, he's got that lift and puts himself up into second place behind Yachi, who's that much lighter. And now Suleimanov, 155, good first lift in the clean and jerk. Now 5 kilos up on that. This wouldn't give him the lead in the clean and jerk competition. It would put him into second place. So Suleimanov at the moment, he's got a total of 280. So this would take him to 285. Just a reminder again of our website address, www.weightlifting.de, for any questions you have.
Number 11, Chen Liu from China, 160 kilograms, second attempt. Next to Vladimir Rodriguez.
So now Chen Liu, who I thought was quite impressive at his first attempt, David. So Chen Liu, who's on 290, this would lift him up to 295. And push him up into third place overall at the moment. But he's got it there. Now this is the part which looked impressive, and it is again. The chuck overhead, very strong.
Yeah, that was a better clean as well.
So still a fair way to go in tonight's competition. Although they're lifting pretty quickly tonight. Well, it often is the way. If you get a lot of successful lifting, the whole competition speeds up.
And also, if you've got a lot of people lifting the same weights, people aren't having to wait 2 minutes or follow themselves, so that makes the competition go quicker as well.
So, third and final attempt for Suleimanov. So this to give himself a total of 285, which is, I have to say, not at the end of the day going to be worth a medal of any colour whatsoever. And it's well below his best. In fact, he did 287.5 in Slovakia in April, so going the wrong way. And worse if he doesn't do this.
So not a good day.
No, a bad day. Finishes on 280. I think the other nice thing being here in Turkey, David, with an audience like this, they're not only passionate and noisy about their support, they're actually quite a knowledgeable audience. They know what they're looking at. And they, in their appreciation there for Suleimanov, they recognise that although he'd failed, he'd actually done his best.
Well, weightlifting is a big sport because they've had the first Turkish Olympic champion was a weightlifter, so it's got to make it an interesting sport for Turkey. People love success.
So
look
this
at
is
that hand grip again. He's using a thumbless grip. I wonder why that is. It's very unusual because it's not easy to hold these bars with a thumbless grip. You need tremendous grip strength to be able to do that.
So Rodriguez with 25 seconds, clock counting down, cleans it with reasonable ease. And very strong overhead, but he started off like that in the snatch. The first snatch looked very good and we thought he was going to go a long way, but it didn't really materialise. 290, 5th place at the moment for him overall.
Yeah, and he said that he looks more suited to the clean and jerk.
Yes, he's sort of stocky,
muscled sort of physique.
From Australia, under 62.5 kilograms, first attempt. Next to from China.
I'm surprised Sarkissian starting this way. This is a big weight.
162.5. This would be a very impressive opener here for Sarkissian. I think he showed in the snatch that he's in good heart.
So there you see, look, the grip. It's choosing to wrap the fingers over the thumb.
Been lifting since 1973. Good clean. He really does know what this is about, and he's on his mettle tonight. So the 40-year-old father of twins Anna and David. Going really well here. Olympic silver medalist back in 1980. That's worth thinking about, isn't it, David?
Number 2, Li Yinglong from China.
So Li Yinglong.
So this, the world champion on the snatch, coming in for his last clean and jerk on 162.5, and this, if he succeeds, will give him a 305. And you were saying that he was hoping to do 295, so having a great day.
Yes, this is a 5 kilo increase. So this for a total of 305 kilos. You cannot complain about that.
So 6 good lifts. Oh,
no
lift. No lift. I don't
no
understand
lift.
that.
No lift.
No lift? For what?
Well, what? How was that a no lift?
It's ridiculous.
The jury. Well, now this is the dilemma, isn't it? Because the rules say you can't change the decision, but you can give a new lift. Now there's the president of the International Weightlifting Federation, seemingly completely oblivious to what's happening.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Well, that's ridiculous.
You can't.
The guy.
And no lift.
I mean, that
absolute nonsense.
Now, am I right, David? You can't cancel a decision. You can give him another lift. But having said that, to lift that weight, which is, you know, getting close, if not at his limit, is really cruel. What I don't understand is where are the Chinese? I mean, surely the Chinese coaches ought to be out there complaining like crazy. I mean, that's just a miscarriage of justice.
Yeah, ridiculous.
No interval, no stop.
Well, Ronnie Ringerth, our German commentator, suggesting that the lift was incorrectly.
He's saying that there was no interval between the clean. There's no set specific time of interval. There must have been an interval. There is always an interval between.
Well, I would like to
clean and the jerk. I mean, the fact that it was a very short one has got nothing to do with it.
Well, I find that extraordinary. Lee Yin Long. I mean, to
some very strange rule. Well, we've discussed some of the.
Well, I think
rules.
now I can see the Chinese. The Chinese are now. The Chinese coaches are now round, or a couple of them round the table, and with the interpreter. And I think they've won an extra. I think they've won a lift
attempt, maybe.
Yeah. Meanwhile, whilst all that's going on, the interpreter's running back in front of us here.
Well, it's like this rule about two lifters lifting the same weight, and the one that has the lowest draw number gets the lift. Absolute nonsense. Imagine having trained 12 sessions a week for 6 months and then losing a gold medal because your lot was drawn.
So, Mukahit Yashi, so far he's got a perfect performance record tonight. Can he keep it going? 165 on his shoulders. Oh no, what a pity. Just being found out there. That would have been for 300 total. He's got one more go at it. But I don't know where this leaves the Chinese lifter. My impression was that the jury. Well, the Chinese looked very contented when they were at the jury table. So if they're not going to give him another lift, had they reversed the decision?
Seems very.
I really don't understand that at all.
Ah, it's better. Ah. I was just about to say that this man is so strong in the first part of the lift and then doesn't quite get the jerk right. And at that point, I thought he'd done it, and then just relaxed before he'd got his feet in line. Well, this is one boy that I don't think ever got bullied in the schoolyard.
Well, there's something. I'm just looking at the board now. Now, what's going on here? Because there's one. I'm looking on the big scoreboard in front of us here, and I can see for Lee 152.5, 157.5, 162.5, and I'm sure that the jury have overturned that decision and are changing it and are giving him the 162.5. Meanwhile, here's the 17-year-old from Russia. 165. Now, can he do this? This is really heavy for him.
If I was him, I'd be asking for another attempt, because the blue 20-kilo disc on his left-hand side wasn't on properly.
The trouble is that he didn't notice it, and of course it's blindside to the coach.
from China for 162.5 kilograms passes.
Well, you might have heard from the public address system in the background that the jury have overturned the bad lift decision for Lee, and that means that Lee has been given the 162.5, which means that he's actually got a total of 305 kilos.
Well, that's unusual, because I understood that you couldn't overturn the referee's decision. You could only give another attempt. But I agree with it, though.
Well, it's a correct decision at the end of the day.
So, Sarkissian, the bar now on 165 kilos. So Sarkissian taking his second clean and jerk. If you remember, he snatched 127.5. He already has succeeded on 162.5. He cleaned very well, but had some trouble with overhead, which makes me wonder. He's rubbing his shoulder. So how's he going to do this time? Well, that looks good. Needs to hold, which he does. That's good. Fantastic effort from the 40-year-old Australian, although I should say that he's really Armenian. He's another one of the lifters that Australia bought and added to their weightlifting team.
Yes, whilst we've been enjoying this, absolute confirmation that Li Yinglong still heads the competition, but now not by 300 kilos, by 305. So in a sense at the moment, David, what he's saying, because of his advantage from the snatch competition, he's saying catch me if you can. And it's a question of whether three people will catch him and push him out of the overall medals. Now here's his teammate. This is Chen Liu, who's at the moment 10 kilos behind him. Now if he gets this lift, he'll narrow that gap to 5 kilos. But it is his last attempt. So Chen Liu finishes on 160 kilos. Good for, I'm afraid, no medal in the clean and jerk. He finishes with a total of 295. So at the moment, Li Yinglong leads from Mugahit Yachi of Turkey. And still 3 men to start their competition. Pashalov, Olichuk and Georgiev in the clean and jerk. And now this is Yachi. Now this is his last attempt, 165. This will give him a total of 300 and would put him into, well, it would keep him in second place, but with a better score. He wasn't far away last time, but it is a heavy weight.
Very competent clean. Now needs to drive out with those arms, especially the right one, which he does.
Oh, that's terrific. That's 5 lifts out of 6. Excellent evening's work really here. Who knows if he'd have got it the second time, whether he could have found an extra 2.5 kilos, and if that had happened, would that have been good enough for an overall medal? He's not out of it yet. He just has to wait and see. Five kilos. Second attempt at this weight, his last lift altogether. And this isn't going to change the top of the leaderboard. Well, he hasn't looked in good spirit all evening, David.
No, this is a lifter that he's got talent, but he doesn't seem to go away and work on his weaknesses.
I mean, he totaled out Lichval 287.5 kilos in the Europeans when he finished 5th, and he's only managed to add an extra 2.5 kilos tonight, but it's not been a very impressive display. By contrast, well, anything you do at the age of 17, just think about it. Here he is in the A final. Former junior world silver medalist, junior European champion for the past 2 seasons. He's already got 5 junior European records to his credit. He's a music graduate, plays the violin, and his weightlifting idols Suleimanoglu, Naim, Piros Dimas and Chamerkin. Well, if he does this, it will be a fantastic achievement. And I think it's just a bit too heavy.
Still, he's got plenty of time.
So it comes from Sochi, coached by his father Valery. I think we're going to see a lot more of him in the next couple of years. Pashalov, he's got to get everything right now, Pashalov. He can't afford a single error tonight. And Georgiev, he was pretty happy with his snatch performance, but he is a heavy man at 61.94. He's got all the disadvantage in the bodyweight department, so he's got to make every attempt count. Georgiev only 135 kilos, but that again is only 2.5 behind Pashalov and Olechuk. But it is 7.5 behind Li Yinlong, who still is the overall leader.
Well, of course, this would temporarily anyway give him the lead on the clean and jerk.
Central referee telling him to put the weight down, and good lift, 167.5. And as you rightly said, David, takes him straight to the top of the clean and jerk leaderboard and straight into 2nd place in the overall championship. And from 7.5 kilos behind Li Yinlong, he's now only 2.5 behind with 2 lifts to go. And Mukahit Yachi of Turkey now down to 3rd place, and still Pashalov and Olechuk to participate. So Rodriguez now, Vladimir Rodriguez, a man with the Russian Christian name and the Latin American family name, representing Cuba, 162.5 kilos he's got. This is for 5 more to give him a total of 295. Would put him into a share of 4th, but...
What happened there? Was that the Actually, that's funny, because the Turk was complaining about the platform. Was that the platform, or? I really don't understand what. Oh, his foot turned over. Oof.
Number 10, Sarkissian from Australia, under 67.5 kilograms, third attempt.
So Rodriguez has got 1 more attempt at that weight.
Next to Vladimir Rodriguez from Cuba.
So we've got Sarkissian with 1 more attempt. You'd have a feeling that Sarkissian would come in at 167.5. You wouldn't imagine he'd try 170. He's too far away, really, from the medals, Sarkissian.
Although 167 jerk may if he could succeed with 167 on the clean and jerk, he'd be in there with a chance of a medal.
Well, that's what I'm saying, 167.5 rather than 170. So Rodriguez to...
It's funny, Rodriguez's first attempts look very, very easy, and then 5 kilos seems to make such a difference to this man. Again, not using the hook grip.
So the Pan American champion. But he won that Pan American title pretty easily. And again, that's better. he only clean and jerked 155 in the Pan Americans. That's all he needed to do. And here you've got him doing 12.5 kilos more at his third attempt. So all credit to him for recovering.
So maybe Sarkissian's finished, or maybe he's going 170.
Well, I can't believe he's not going to take the third attempt. There's no reason. As far as we know, he's not injured. He certainly didn't look injured.
I spoke to him earlier, actually, in the warm-up just before he started, and he told me that in training he'd done 172.5, but he'd had to drop 4 kilos in body weight to make the class, and he'd been sitting in the sauna today just to get that last sort of kilo or so off, and it does make a difference, especially in the clean and jerk.
So, Gennady Olichuk of Belarus to open his account. You're looking at the man who,
this was
snatch, finished in third place, opening on 170.
This would put him straight into the overall lead, and of course the lead on the clean and jerk.
Yes, this for 307.5 kilos. And stand still, feet in line. Central referee, the equipment's obviously not working terribly well, but at least the central referee tonight is being very positive, which is helpful. And so Belarus take the lead in the overall championship and also the clean and jerk. Li Yinglong is demoted to second place. Georgiev drops to third, but he's got lifts to come. Mukhahit is out of the overall medals and also has been pushed down to fourth in the clean and jerk. So Sarkissian for Australia now coming in to take this third and final lift. Lifts for the Hawthorne Weightlifting Club. Originally represented Armenia, but these days lives down in Rowville, Victoria. World champion in 1982, 1983, 23 world records to his credit in his time.
Well,
you don't need to buy the book, you just need to go and have a coffee and have a chat, and he'll tell you all about world weightlifting over the last 30, 40 years.
Yeah, and he speaks very good English.
Well, he didn't like the bar either.
Well, I think that maybe 170 was pushing it a bit. I mean, 165 was great. I think 170 may have just been, well, obviously is just pushing it a bit too much. Not just physically, psychologically as well.
292.5 kilos he totals out, and so now after the hors d'oeuvre, now we come to the main course. Now, Pashalov just sitting with 3 lifts to come, waiting to see what Olichuk and Georgiev are going to do.
I can't understand why Pashalov hasn't started yet. This seems very, very strange to me. Because the fact that the bar is on 172.5 for Stefan Georgiev's second attempt means that the minimum that Pashalov could come in at is 175, which is only 5.5 below the world record. And when you think that he only snatched 137.5, he was 12.5 kilos down on his best. It makes you wonder if he's still in the competition.
Indeed. Well, he only clean and jerked 175 in Trenchin. He did 175 in Sydney. He didn't get 185. We don't know. We must wait and see. It'd be nice to see him in the back room and to see what he is doing at this particular moment.
So Georgie, 172.5, snatched 137.5. No, actually, no, he snatched 135. So would this put him into the lead by virtue of
No, he's heavy. He's heavy.
This would give him silver at the moment.
Well, it would have given him the clean and jerk, but he's got one more. No, he's got one more go, and I don't think he's going to push the bar up anymore. Now, surely Pashalov's got to come in.
Well, he should. You would have thought so.
Belarus, under 72.5 kilograms, second attempt. Next to
Well, it's Olechuk who's into the hall with 172.5 on the board. So this will take him to a total of 310. Now, Pashalov only won the Europeans with 300, and in doing so, he actually snatched 140 kilos towards that.
Better.
Needs to bring that back foot in line.
Ah, there's the somersault.
Well, he's done that after his second attempt. So what does he do? A triple on the...
Well, maybe he knows. Maybe he knows something that we don't. He's in the warm-up room. Maybe he knows that Pashalov's not coming out.
number 8, Stefan Georgiev from Bulgaria, under 72.5 kilograms, third attempt.
Well, this is looking very ominous that Pashalov is not going to come out, because I can't believe that he would have done that somersault if he didn't know that Pashalov had withdrawn. But I have to say that we have no message, we have not been given a clue, there is no information at the moment. We desperately need to see a shot of Pashalov to see what has actually happened to him. But if he's going to come in for a first attempt at 175, I mean, he is lighter, so he's only 2.5 kilos behind at the halfway stage at the snatch. So if Georgiev and Olechuk, even with 172.5, if Olechuk can't go any further and Pashalov would have come out.
You see, Pashalov is lighter, so you would have thought he would have played a tactical battle and just kept with Olechuk, but he hasn't.
Well, Olechuk has pushed the bar to 175, so clearly, I mean, Pashalov. To me, it's no, he's given up.
I think he's out.
This is
will try a new world record.
New world record. Yeah,
so Olechuk going for a new world record here. He's won the competition effectively. Well, I'm not going to say that it's by default of Pashalov, because that would be grossly unfair. The man's put the work in and got the weight. So with the pressure off, he can now go for 181 kilos, half a kilo more than Li Maosheng's record of 180.5, set in 1999 in Athens.
Interesting. Always good to see a world record attempt.
It's interesting, actually, that the standard is 325, and that was actually equalled by Pashalov in the Sydney Games, but he doesn't get that until he actually exceeds it. He doesn't actually get it as a record until he does half a kilo more, or
2.5.
2.5 kilos more.
So world record attempt.
20 seconds. Can he stand up? Yes, he can.
Now. Yes.
Yes, he can.
Hold. Needs to hold.
Stand still. Stand still. Now he can put it down.
Get a backward somersault.
Yes.
No.
No somersault.
Come on.
But he's done it. Belarus take the championship, and the icing on the cake for Gennady Olechuk is a new clean and jerk world record of 181 kilos, taking the record away from Li Maosheng and bringing it back to Europe. Pashalov unable, for a reason we've yet to discover, to continue. And retiring without a total and just having to accept the silver medal in the snatch. So disappointing really in a way, David, that Pashalov couldn't complete the competition, but nonetheless a nice.
But we still, you know, we had a treat of somebody breaking the world record, so we may not have seen that if Pashalov had put some pressure on him. He may have had to have picked his weights more conservatively.
Yes, he was really on top of his game here. Just brings that right leg forward, and one more time. And that was the moment where he was invited to put it down and was confirmed as the new world record holder for clean and jerk. So overall, a total of 318.5 kilos. Of course, that only counts as 317.5, and that's still 7.5 kilos off the world standard. Now, is he okay?
Don't know, covering the cameras out. No, I think maybe he's emotionally overwhelmed. I think it's more the... he can't believe it.
So a new name in the record book. Total of 317.5, the champion with a new world record. Well, that's a pretty good evening, and getting all-round congratulations there. Mystery of Pashalov. We'll try to talk to the Croatians and let you know the news about Pashalov's problems, whatever they are. But plenty to look forward to, David. The men's 69 kilo category tomorrow brings out Galibin Bursky of Bulgaria, the Olympic champion at 69 kilos, and also the world champion in 1999. And then that's Tuesday, of course. Thursday, well, what a battle there. Gaps opening up in the clean and jerk after a pretty tight competition in the first half. And Pashalov, the Olympic champion, the European champion, the man who... So 3 white lights and 152.5 kilos.
So that's a second success for him, and he still has one attempt left to take it further.
Bar going up to 155 kilos for Attila Ferry, second of the Hungarians, but I don't mean that in any derisory way. I don't mean second in the sense that he's second best.